And welcome back, everyone. Right now, Microsoft Surface simplifies today's game in Miami between the Ravens and the Dolphins as we get you first on the field. Let's send you out there live with our announcers, Andrew Catalan, Steve Tasker, and Steve Berline. Gentlemen.
JB, the stakes are high in sunny South Florida. The Ravens and Dolphins meet in a critical AFC showdown. Miami quarterback Ryan Tannehill is on a tear of late, just 2 games behind the Patriots in the AFC East. Meanwhile, Baltimore's Joe Flacco eyes another playoff run as the Ravens try to keep pace in the wild AFC North. And hi, everyone. Welcome to Week 14 of the NFL on CBS. I'm Andrew Catalan. Miami head coach Joe Philbin told our crew yesterday that December football is about earning the right to play for a championship. And there's no doubt that whoever comes out of the AFC will have earned it. 6 teams at 7-5, including Miami and Baltimore. The Dolphins currently have the number 6 seed, but as Justin Forsett said, today is a playoff game. I'll be joined by the Steves, and first up, 17-year NFL vet Steve Berline. And the big news out of Baltimore this week, Haloti Ngata suspended the rest of the regular season for taking Adderall. How do the Ravens replace him?
Well, you don't replace a guy like Haloti Ngata. He is one of the absolute most dominant interior defensive linemen in the NFL. John Harbaugh said, though, I'm not overly concerned because we have great depth up front of this football team. Second-round draft choice Timmy Jernigan, who they refer to as a pit bull, is going to get the start today, and they are very excited to see how he's going to play. The big concern for John Harbaugh is in the defensive secondary. This defensive unit has absolutely been torched in recent weeks. 31st in the NFL as far as total pass defense. They have been victims of big play after big play. They've gone through 6 cornerbacks this year, 7 safeties. One sigh of relief for John Harbaugh, though, is that Asa Jackson is back to start a corner. We'll see if that helps. But offensively, not nearly as many concerns for John Harbaugh. His offense has been running the ball very well, led by Justin Forsett, who was a question mark coming into the game, but he is going to go, and that opens up the passing game. Torrey Smith has been on fire lately. They really need, though, to get Steve Smith playing back at the level he was playing early in the season. He's a big factor for this offense.
As to the Dolphins, we say hello to 7-time Pro Bowler Steve Tasker, and Ryan Tannehill is playing the best football of his young career. What's been the biggest reason for his success here in year 3?
Well, the one thing that jumps out at you is the 70% completions that he's been able to go over the past 5 games. That's really something that he laughed about and said, I can actually brag to Dan Marino. Marino never did that, and it's led to them being very consistent on offense. And you look at the guys he's going to. Mike Wallace, you knew he was a big play threat coming over from Pittsburgh a few years ago, but Jarvis Landry, the 2nd-round draft pick out of LSU, has really turned into a dynamite option out of the interior. Their offense has been very steady, but conversely, their defense has been gashed. Their run defense here against Denver, giving up over almost 300 yards in rushing, over 270. Missed tackles and then bad run fits led to big plays like this one, and it carried over into the Jet game. You see here in the hole a missed tackle and then a bad run fit leaves too much space in the secondary, and the Jets ran all over the Dolphins. But the good news is they feel like they've got that fixed, and the Dolphins are ready to play run defense against the Ravens today.
Time now for Tools for Success, presented by Home Depot.
Let's talk about a couple of kickers, the absolute best in the NFL. Justin Tucker, he's made 59 of his last 60 under 55 yards. He is a weapon for John Harbaugh.
Well, Caleb Sturgis has missed 4 field goals in the last 7 games. 2 teams headed to the playoffs. The kickers have got to be good, but Baltimore has the edge.
Baltimore, I think the key, they have to pound the ball up in there, make Miami commit to stopping the run that's killed them lately, and then come back with a big play action.
Miami, they're going to go deep. John Harbaugh said it. They don't go deep often, but they will against us.
Deep thoughts with Steve Tasker. Baltimore has won 4 straight over Miami, including a win here last year. December football with major playoff implications. It's the Ravens and Dolphins, Week 14 of the NFL on CBS. It's a critical Week 14 game in the NFL. Joe Philbin and the Dolphins against John Harbaugh's Ravens. And today's game is being broadcast in Spanish where available using the SAP button on your television.
CBS Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
It is a beautiful day in Miami. Temperature right now 76 degrees, and we go down to the fourth member of our team today, Chris Fisher.
For the Ravens, who improved to 5-0 against the Dolphins under John Harbaugh, he said they have to get pressure on Ryan Tannehill, contain him in the pocket, and get in his face. Last season, the Ravens were able to sack him 6 times last year here in Miami. As for the Dolphins, Joe Philbin told us the defense has to get off blocks, gain separation, and attack Justin Forsett. Miami can't afford to surrender 200 yards on the ground for a third consecutive game.
Yeah, first time they've done that, Chris, since 1990, trying to fix that run defense against a very talented Justin Forsett. No doubt one of the key matchups in this big AFC game. Caleb Sturgis will kick it away. That's because Miami won the toss, and they have deferred until the second half. Very dangerous Jacoby Jones back deep. He leads the NFL, averaging over 31 yards per kick return, but he will not get a chance here. It's a touchback, and Baltimore will start at the 20-yard line. Joe Flacco is undefeated in his career against Miami, 4-0 all-time, including the playoffs in 2009, having another big season.
He sure is, and of those 4 wins he's had here against no losses, 3 of those wins have come right here in Miami. So the Ravens very comfortable in this environment.
Justin Forsett was listed as questionable with a knee injury. He is starting for Baltimore. Flacco to the air on first down and incomplete. Was throwing it in the direction of Steve Smith Sr. As we take a look at the Baltimore starting offense, and Rick Wagner will have his hands full. He'll see a lot of Cameron Wake today, and you just saw that first pass was to Steve Smith. Baltimore has to try to get him going.
Yeah, only 1 catch last week for Steve Smith, and Joe Flacco told us they really want to get him involved early. It's obvious they threw the first play of the game right at him. Misconnection, though.
Back to the air on second down, Flacco. That pass is caught. It is Steve Smith Sr. Only had 1 catch last week for 2 yards, but he's on the board here early as we look at the Miami defense, and Cameron Wake leads the team with 9.5 sacks. Jelani Jenkins coming off a career-high 16 tackles Monday night against the Jets, and R.J. Stanford makes his first career start.
Yeah, and he was on the street just 2 weeks ago, signed just prior to the Jets game, and that first incompletion to Steve Smith, they went right at Stanford right away.
Cortland Finnegan is not playing. He's inactive for a 4th straight game because of an ankle injury. 3rd and 2. And Taliaferro is met at the line, and he's not going to get there. Taliaferro did not have a carry in the last 2 games for the Ravens. He gets a big one early, and he's stuffed.
Well, that's not a good sign for Baltimore. Justin Forsett, the number 4 rusher in the NFL, is a guy that's usually an every down guy, and he's not running in his first obvious run, short yardage situation. That tells us that maybe he's not 100%. He did have the knee injury last week, missed a couple days of practice.
So Baltimore goes 3 and out for just the 18th time this season. Only Green Bay came into the game with fewer 3 and outs, as Landry will return this one. And he's tripped up from behind, tackled at the 37-yard line. So a good start for the Miami defense. And here's Ryan Tannehill in his 3rd year out of Texas A&M, and he's thrown over 70% completions in his last 5 games. First time that's happened in the NFL in 2 years.
Yeah, it's a rare occurrence, because you have to be so consistent over that many games, and that's hard to do in the NFL. And yet Tannehill in his 3rd year running an offense he's in the 1st year of, really having a strong second half of the season.
Charles Clay in motion. And they give it to Lamar Miller on first down with some room to run up the middle. Now Miller trying to get to the outside, sheds a tackle, has the first down into Baltimore territory. A nice run of 15 by Lamar Miller.
Well, one of the things about it is you see run defense. Miller's going to cut this back, and it's just a missed tackle. You see, you can't shed the block. There's a missed tackle in the secondary. That's Darryl Smith, who can't get off the block, and the linebacker right at the point of attack, and the rest is just Miller making some guys miss. But that's one of the reasons your run defense suffers so much. A lot of times it's just guys missing tackles when they actually have a chance to make the play.
Miller again to the 46-yard line as we take a look at the Miami starting offense. And Juwan James, the rookie, moving over to left tackle now with the injury to Brandon Albert. And saw Clay in motion. He is playing. Missed the last 2 games because of knee and hamstring injuries.
Yeah, and they're happy to have him back. He comes into this game with 39 receptions and 3 TDs on the year. But I think more importantly, he's just a guy that Tannehill trusts, and there are certain matchups where he's a better option than anybody else on their offense.
Tannehill fakes it to Landry, goes the other way to Miller. And Miller still putting the moves on. Another first down for Miami. A gain of 9, and the Dolphins move the sticks as we take a look at the Baltimore defense. And as we mentioned earlier, Timmy Jernigan starts for the suspended Haloti Ngata. Terrell Suggs, 7 sacks on the season, including last week against San Diego. And in the secondary, Asa Jackson is back.
Yeah, back from a foot injury. They kept him out, and this is a secondary that has been torched. They're hoping that Asa Jackson can provide some consistency and stability back there.
In the 5 games played, he's been on IR, designated for return. And we have our first penalty flag of the day. Today's referee is John Perry.
Offside, defense unimpeded to the quarterback. Defense number 55, 5-yard penalty, first down.
You know, we spoke about in the open about the Dolphins not going deep. That's one reason Ryan Tannehill has completed so many passes, is they're throwing everything underneath, and Harbaugh laughed and he said they don't go deep very often, but they will against us. But this situation right here, 1st and 5, perfect opportunity to take a shot.
Damian Williams on the carry across the 30 and to the 28-yard line, a gain of 4. Penalties were a big problem for the Ravens last week. 14 penalties, and 9 were on the defensive side, including some offsides by Elvis Dumervil. There we saw Suggs on the previous play go offsides early.
And those have an impact, and I like the way Steve Tasker you're thinking. Again, here 2nd and 1, obvious run situation. Nice to think about maybe mixing in play action, especially when you've been running it well so far.
They give it to Williams again, and he has stopped for no gain on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 1.
Yeah, when you talk about generalities and rules of thumb in the NFL, if you get a 2nd and 1, that's a chance to take a deep shot. And Miami has been criticized for their inability or reluctance, some people think, to go deep. Now, certainly Ryan Tannehill completing 70% of his passes. It's hard to criticize that, but there's no question taking a few deep shots would really help Miami in the overall scheme of their offense.
3rd down and 1. Dolphins 16th in the NFL, converting at 41% this year. And it's Miller, and he spins away. Did he stay on his feet? I think he did, and what an extra effort by Lamar Miller, but he's still going to be just a hair shy of a first down.
Well, this was played tremendously well by the Ravens defense. You see right there, tackles missed in the backfield. They had Lamar Miller. What an incredible effort. That was Courtney Upshaw that had a tackle, should have had a tackle for a 3-yard loss. Although Miller did get held, they ruled his knee down, I guess, short of the first down marker.
It is 4th down and 1. And the Dolphins, led by Joe Philbin, have sent out their field goal unit and Caleb Sturgis. This will be a 46-yard attempt to put Miami on the scoreboard. Sturgis's kick is right down the middle. Miami had a 2nd and 1. Couldn't move the chains. They settle for 3, and the Dolphins out to a 3-0 lead. The Dolphins with a 7-play drive, capped off by the Sturgis 46-yard field goal. Lamar Miller at 27 total yards on that drive, both on the ground and through the air. The Dolphins out to a 3-0 lead in this critical AFC game against the Baltimore Ravens. 6 teams in the AFC are 7-5, including these 2. So Jacoby Jones once again back deep for Baltimore. And And Sturgis with his second touchback of the quarter. Joe Flacco coming back out for his second series. The Ravens trail 3-0.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Jared the Galleria of Jewelry. And by Ford. Beautiful things happen when you go further.
It is a beach day in Miami. Also a great day for football. 9:28 to go first quarter, and the Dolphins lead 3-0. Second series for Baltimore. They went 3 and out on their first possession. Justin Forsett did not carry the football in that first drive. And a play action. Flacco to use check. Stuffed. Jelani Jenkins, who had a career-high 16 tackles last week, has his first one today. A loss of 5. Oh, we mentioned it earlier, both of these teams 7-5. Just the 12th time, all time, that 2 7-5 teams have met. The winning team has gone on to make the playoffs 8 of the 10 times there was one tie. So obviously, as we've hyped up, a critical game. Joe Flacco said, I don't know how you don't look at it as an elimination game here today. 2nd and 15. Now they go on the ground. Forsett with his first carry of the day. It's a little curious that Taliaferro got that carry on 3rd down in the first drive, but Forsett with a gain of 6.
Well, Forsett had that knee injury last week that did prevent him from practicing Wednesday, Thursday. John Harbaugh, Gary Kubiak, offensive coordinator, obviously felt that in a short yardage situation his power might be affected, but it's been an absolutely spectacular year for Justin Forsett.
3rd down and 9. Movement on the line, and they blow this one dead. And it's going to go against the Ravens.
Yeah, this is going to be a question of
False start. Offense. Number 53. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Well, you'll see the Dolphins twitch, and obviously the officials think somebody drew them off. Zutah is the guy right in here. And I didn't see anything. I saw the tight end jumps off, but the tight end is more than one man removed. I didn't see anything inside.
Yeah, that's very questionable in my opinion. He's looking through his legs to get the signal from his quarterback and just lifted his head up. He did not try to induce movement out of the Dolphins.
2 pre-snap penalties on the Ravens already. 3rd and 14, a screen to Forsett. And Forsett is stopped short. So Baltimore came in with the 2nd fewest 3-and-outs in the NFL, and they have 2 3-and-outs on their first 2 drives.
Well, we spoke about it in the open, and in the NFL, particularly at the problems the Dolphins defense has been having of late, you can fix those problems, and you get a bunch of professional guys, a good football team like the Dolphins are, they can fix some problems. Now, they were really poor run defenders in the last 2 weeks. They worked hard on it, and it shows up early today.
Sam Cook with his 2nd punt for the Ravens. Landry back deep, and that was nearly blocked. Miami does a great job of that. They've blocked 4 kicks today, 4 kicks this year, as Landry calls for a fair catch at the 33-yard line. Nearly blocked. Miami up early, 3-0. Thursday, Larry Fitzgerald and the first place Cardinals take on the Rams as the playoff chase heats up. It's Thursday Night Football, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, live on NFL Network. So that punt was nearly blocked. Instead, it goes for 47 yards with no return. So a great job by the Ravens special teams and Sam Cook to change the field. And there's Timmy Jernigan, who's getting the start today for Haloti Ngata. However, Jernigan will start this series on the sideline. As we mentioned earlier, Ngata suspended 4 games for taking Adderall. He is out for the rest of the regular season, but if the Ravens make the playoffs, he would be eligible to return. Baltimore coming with a blitz. Tannehill gets rid of it quickly, but it's dropped by Charles Clay. Ngata said he made a mistake. Deeply sorry, apologized to his teammates. Ozzie Newsome, the GM for the Ravens, said, "We're disappointed with him, but no more than he is in himself."
And that is significant. And we've seen, the Miami Dolphins came out in their first drive and did run the ball pretty well, 22 yards on their first 5 carries, a couple of nice plays up the middle. But Timmy Jernigan and the interior defensive line for John Harbaugh, he views that as an area of strength and thinks they should be up to the task.
Second-round pick out of Florida State. Seminoles are the #3 team in the college football playoff, which was just announced. That pass from Tannehill is complete to Deion Sims, who knocks the helmet off of C.J. Mosley. Deion Sims has really come on of late, playing the last 2 games for Charles Clay, and he picks up 12 here.
Well, you can see why they're starting to trust him more. That is a big-time play by an NFL tight end. You can see him. That's what you learn to do. When you got the ball in your hands in the NFL, you attract a lot of violence.
And he's not a little man.
That's how you finish a run.
6'5", 260 with some pop.
Lamar Miller on first down gets to midfield.
You can see at this early going of this first quarter why Miami has become such a tough out with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. Short, complete passes, set you up for 2nd and 3rd and short, and you've got Lamar Miller running really tough up inside. Their offensive line is light years ahead of where it was a year ago with all the turmoil. They're just much better everywhere you look.
Anthony Levine to the Baltimore locker room. We'll try to get an update on him as we have more movement on the line and flags come in.
And this is going to be another pre-snap penalty on Baltimore.
Neutral zone infraction defense, number 98. The 5-yard penalty will result in a first down Miami.
3rd pre-snap penalty today against Baltimore. This one on Brandon Williams.
And that's just a lack of discipline. You get those guys down inside, and certainly they're trying to cover for Haloti Ngata's absent and make a name for themselves.
Well, the other thing, too, Ryan Tannehill was sacked 6 times last year in this game. So Tannehill, I think, trying to use the snap count to keep these guys from peeling back their ears as well.
Tannehill pump fakes, comes back the other way, and that is complete. And it's Lamar Miller as Miami continues to pick up yardage here against this Baltimore defense, a gain of 7.
All right, B-Sting.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a question. You're a quarterback. How much does that pump fake help, man? You see it, and it is amazing that more quarterbacks don't use it.
Well, anything you can do to influence the defense creates more space to where you want to go with the football. You got to be convincing with it, though, because it throws the rhythm off if you're not really good about it.
2nd and 3. Tannehill to Landry, and he's got the first down. Landry leads the team with 57 receptions. You did say bee sting. We should probably explain what that means. Furlan got stung by a bee in Buffalo a couple months ago, and we all call him bee sting now.
Yeah.
Cat's out of the bag, thanks to Steve Tasker.
That's right. Yeah, I guess I should have gotten out of the locker room vernacular there.
1st and 10 for the Dolphins as we tick under 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Tannehill with time over the middle, and Miller is met immediately by Mosley. Gain of 5 on the play.
You'll watch as the Dolphins get in this formation, they're bringing in a tight end and keeping the running back in. They're making sure they've got enough guys around Tannehill to protect him. You mentioned Steve Berline, 6 sacks last year. They're making sure they got enough people inside to protect him.
But you know what, Steve? That last chance, they had a slot to the left side, and Mike Wallace ran a corner route. That was one of those deep shots up the field that Ryan Tannehill's got to be aware of.
He started 5 out of 6. Miller. Lamar Miller with another Miami first down. 3rd-year player out of Miami, a gain of 7.
This is right up the pipe again. This is the same play they had success with on the first play of the game. You see Lamar Miller does a great job pushing it up into the line and then feeling that soft spot on the backside. A nice pickup for a first down.
There it is. Baltimore with just 13 yards. Lamar Miller has 51 all-purpose yards so far in this first quarter. 1st and 10 for the Dolphins. Tannehill fires, caught at the 10. It is Mike Wallace, and Miami has it 1st and goal.
Not too complex here. This is just a quick little play action. Danny Gore, one of the guys who's been victimized in recent weeks, although anybody they put back there. Good pressure from Timmy Jernigan on Ryan Tannehill. Nice throw by Tannehill, but these Ravens defensive backs, I think, are afraid to get too aggressive on the outside because they've been scarred so badly in recent weeks.
Gore was teammates with Tannehill at Texas A&M. First and goal. Tannehill. That pass deflected at the line. Looked like Lawrence Guy got a piece of that one for the Ravens.
Yeah, another thing about that secondary, they've been scorched so much, and you brought it up, Steve Berline, in the open. This team has given up a lot of big plays, so naturally now the Ravens want to keep the lid on that defense all the time. So you're going to see the Dolphins take advantage of the underneath routes because the Ravens are just so afraid of getting the top off that defense and giving up another big play.
Miami 25th in the NFL in scoring touchdowns in the red zone, just 50%. Second and goal. Miller to the 7. It will be third down for the Dolphins as we approach 2.5 to go in a fast-moving opening quarter.
Well, we're seeing a concerted effort by Billy Lazor, the offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, to see if this Baltimore defense can hold up on the inside. There you see where these teams rank in the red zone. But Billy Lazor not afraid at all to test the interior of the number 4 ranked rush defense in the NFL.
11th play of this drive. It's third and goal. Movement again on the line. And they're going to say once again it's against Baltimore.
Infraction defense, number 91. After distance for the goal.
Well, now you can tell it's getting good to the Dolphins. They're getting to know Tannehill's probably talking to his guys in the huddle saying, hey, here it comes. They're going to try and draw them off, and they're going to keep doing that, and it'll get worse as the game goes along. The Dolphins will hold their water and get them off sides again.
And what that does to a defensive line, they're trying to get off on the snap count. You know, if they have that moment of hesitation because they don't want to jump, that makes a big difference.
Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Big, big. It's all right. Come on, get him. Set. Ready. Wait up.
Tannehill, end zone, caught, touchdown, Brian Hartline. His second touchdown of the season, and Miami takes a 9-0 lead.
Well, this is a big-time hot throw by Tannehill. It goes right by C.J. Mosley. I don't know how he fit this in here. C.J. Mosley's right there, and he fits it right in between Mosley and Jackson. Watch right here. Just goes right past it.
Yeah, that was a great throw. Brian Hartline, who's not been a big factor in this offense, only his second touchdown of the year, but a great throw. That play should have been made by the inside linebacker, no doubt about it.
Hartline injured his left knee last week, only had 1 catch against the Jets as Sturgis knocks in the extra point, but he catches the early touchdown, and the Dolphins out to a 10-0 lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon XLTE on America's largest, most reliable 4G LTE network. And by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly.
A good start for the Miami Dolphins, playing their first home game since November 13th. Brian Hartline into the end zone. Baltimore's only run 6 plays on offense. Miami has 8 first downs.
I tell you what, John Harbaugh, this team sounded and seemed ready yesterday. We met with them. They are sleepwalking so far to this point.
A third touchback by Sturgis. The Ravens will start at the 20 when we come back. Back in Miami on that touchdown drive, Ryan Tannehill, 6 out of 8, completed those 6 passes to 5 different receivers, and the Dolphins are out to a 10-0 lead. Baltimore has only run 6 plays on offense in this first quarter, 2 3-and-outs. They started with 4 set, and he is stuffed by Rashad Jones. Big hit by the 5th-year safety out of Georgia.
That was a big hit. He came up, timed it just perfectly, came down with safety support, and wham! That was amazing. That was Derek Shelby that had him wrapped around the legs, and I don't think he's ever saw Rashad Jones coming.
A tough 2 yards for Justin Forsett. It's 2nd down and 8. Flacco to the left, and that's a great catch by Steve Smith. Tackled immediately by R.J. Stanford, but Smith went up to get that one and brought it in.
Once again, trying to find R.J. Stanford making his first start. And Steve Smith, you see, I mean, he got off to the fast start this season, and Joe Flacco told us yesterday we're trying to find a way to get him back on top. But Torrey Smith has certainly emerged, but Steve Smith, they need to be a bigger part.
And he's such an emotional player. When he gets involved early, it changes his whole focus in the game.
3rd down and 1. Forsett. And he didn't get there. A 3rd straight 3 and out for the Baltimore Ravens. Jared Odrick leading the charge for the Dolphins.
Jelani Jenkins told us when the deep offensive line of the Ravens starts to go sideways, it is their idea to get vertical through that zone run scheme and stop this play in the backfield, and they did. They are doing an outstanding job against this zone scheme in the early going.
That's the end of the first quarter. The Dolphins lead 10-0. Well, Miami called a timeout with 3 seconds to go. There's a flag down. They wanted Cook to punt into the wind, even though it's not particularly strong. Landry. And he's tackled at the 27, but there is a flag down. So the quarter appeared to be over, and then John Perry came back out and said, nope, we're going to give the Dolphins a timeout with 3 seconds left.
And this flag came out before the kick.
It was 4th and 1. And again, there's a slight breeze here today, but it doesn't appear to be overly strong.
That was a pretty good punt as well.
You said it though, Steve Tasker, during the break. You don't question the coach of the home team. They know their stadium, but
Illegal formation. Kicking team number 44 was not on the line of scrimmage. Miami has chosen to tack on the 5-yard penalty, and this is now the end of the first quarter.
Now we are through 1. Miami football when we come back. NFL athletes grew up playing in communities all across America. Now, through NFL Play 60, they're encouraging kids in neighborhoods everywhere to come out and play for 60 minutes a day. To learn how, visit NFLrush.com/play60. Start of the second quarter in Miami in this critical AFC game between the 7-5 Ravens and the 7-5 Miami Dolphins. What a start for Miami, out to a 10-0 lead. Ryan Tannehill, 7 out of 9 for 52 yards and a touchdown.
And this is a Ravens team that has been playing very well offensively. Last week against the San Diego Chargers, only 1 punt. Today, 3 drives, 9 plays, 3 punts.
And Baltimore with 5 pre-snap penalties in that first quarter. They had 14 penalties last week against the Chargers. It continues to be an issue for John Harbaugh's team. Different type of feeling for Miami. They played catch-up all week, all Monday night against the Jets. Different story here today as they're off to a nice start. Tannehill fires on the run, and it's caught by Wallace. First down at the 48-yard line, knocked out by Lardarius Webb. A gain of 17. We showed you this earlier, the AFC playoff picture with 6 teams at 7-5, including Miami and Baltimore. Miami right now, if the playoffs started today, would be the number 6 seed. And down the stretch, the Ravens have the easiest schedule of the 7-5 teams. Miami, the second easiest schedule. Tannehill play action. Chased by Suggs and sacked. The 8th sack of the season for Terrell Suggs. We go back to New York and update JB and Coach Cowher.
Harvard in the action.
Yeah, Harvard's Desmond Bryant's going to sack Andrew Luck. Recovered by Craig Robinson. 7-0 Cleveland. Keep an eye. Brian Hoyer has already thrown 1 interception.
Andrew Catalan, Steve Tasker. Welcome back, Steve Tasker and Steve Burlock.
Very nice.
Yeah, Cleveland, one of those 7-5 teams. Of course, last week, Steve Tasker watched his son Luke play in the Grey Cup for Hamilton. Came up just a little bit short, Mr. Tasker.
Well, I don't want to get into it.
Fair enough. 2nd and 18. After the sack by Suggs, and Sims makes the catch at the 45. It'll be 3rd and long for Miami.
Well, we saw 2 consecutive bootlegs by Miami. The first one was a tremendous job by Ryan Tannehill getting outside. Suggs had a shot at him, but Tannehill showed his athletic ability, made a great throw for 17 yards. Billy Lazor decided to come right back with it on the next play, and Suggs was not fooled that time, made him pay for it. Now they're facing 3rd and long.
3rd down and 12 for the Dolphins. Pressure coming. Tannehill steps up, fires, and it's dropped. That was a good pass to Brandon Gibson. He should have had it, but instead, Miami will have to punt.
Well, I think Miami got away from their philosophy. They started rolling Tannehill out, which is a good thing usually, but they were having such success with him getting a quick release, the 5-step drops, and getting rid of it right here. Another example, you got to pull that in. He puts some pepper on it, and it comes in high, no question, but that is an easy catch for a 1st down.
So Gibson with the drop, which means we'll see Brandon Fields for the first time today. 8th-year punter out of Michigan State. A 54-yard average on Monday night against the Jets. Jacoby Jones, fair catch at the 14-yard line. 12:46 to go in the first half. Joe Flacco and the Ravens down by 10. Back in Miami, aerial coverage of today's game is provided by MetLife. 12:46 to go first half. Dolphins out to a 10-0 lead. With the Steves, Berline, and Tasker, and Chris Fisher down on the sideline, I'm Andrew Catalan. We thank you for joining us. Week 14 of the NFL on CBS. Flacco to the air. And he finds his man out of the backfield. Taliaferro down the sideline. And that is the first down today for the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, Joe Flacco's had great protection all year. You see right there, he had time to really get through his progression. He's only been sacked 15 times all year, which is 2nd best in the NFL. And he knows this offense very well. At this point in the season, Gary Kubiak is a great teacher. Flacco knew exactly where to go with that football. Nice. Significant gain, finally a 1st down for Baltimore.
And the first 3 possessions, they only had 22 total yards. That play went for 20. Taliaferro again across the 35 and some room. We go back to New York and update JB and Coach Cowher.
A big matchup, Coach.
Yeah, AFC North matchup. Pittsburgh Steelers off the play action. He hit Heath Miller 1 yard out. 7-0 Pittsburgh in the 2nd.
Andrew, Steve, and Steve.
Guys, thank you. Taliaferro has not been used much the last few weeks, ever since that Week 9 fumble against Pittsburgh. But we've seen a lot of the rookie out of Coastal Carolina so far in this first half. He got 9 on that last play. It's 2nd and 1 for Seth. And he moves the chains to the 46-yard line, a gain of 3. Well, what have you guys seen from this Baltimore offense? They had such a great start last week against San Diego, but sluggish out of the gate.
Yeah, you know, and we talked to John Harbaugh. He was so confident, almost overconfident about how well his offensive, I don't say that in a negative way, he just feels very good about his offensive line. But to this point, until this drive, the Miami Dolphins have been more physical up front. Maybe now they're starting to settle in a little bit.
Flacco, play action, fires to a wide open Steve Smith into Miami territory and wrestled out of bounds at the 24-yard line by R.J. Stanford. A gain of 27.
Well, look out if you're Miami right now. If this Steve Smith starts feeling like he's got the mojo back, it's going to be a long day for you. He's that kind of player. He's already got now 3 catches for 43 yards. They've gone through him a couple more times. If he starts getting that confidence going, and Torrey Smith on the other side, this is a whole different dynamic for the Baltimore Ravens offense.
First time today that that Baltimore is in Miami territory. Flacco has had 6 straight completions. Keeps this one on the ground at 4 set, trying to find some room on the right side, nothing doing. Brent Grimes coming up to make that tackle, a gain of 1.
We spoke to Flacco yesterday, and he talked about getting Steve Smith more involved, and the more they can run this football and play action like you see here, just going right off tackle. and they're trying to knife that in there, but they've got to get everybody involved. There's a lot of playmakers on this Baltimore offense, and it's all keyed by Joe Flacco. He's good enough to get them involved and make those throws. They've got to complete them.
Flacco to use check. Great catch by the fullback. Knocked down by Rashad Jones, but the second-year man out of Harvard making a great grab on that pass from Flacco.
Well, this is exactly what you saw the Miami Dolphins do. Spread the football around, get some completions, move the football, use the run game. These two teams are 7-5 in the playoff hunt for a reason. They may have spells where they don't look so good, but they find ways to win. And this Baltimore team is very veteran up front and at the skill positions.
Ravens on 3rd and inches. Flacco keeps it himself for the first down. That's the first time today that Baltimore has converted on 3rd down. They were 0 for their first 3. Flacco did have a rushing touchdown last week down by the goal line against the Chargers in that crazy game where Baltimore was ahead by 10 starting the 4th quarter, and then San Diego scored 3 touchdowns in the final frame.
You can see there, Joe Flacco, Andrew, he had to run to the sideline. Their radio system doesn't seem to be working. Gary Kubiak, the offensive coordinator, just screaming at him, telling him what the play was.
4 first downs on this drive for the Ravens. Taliaferro gets away from Mitchell. Taliaferro with a gain of 3 on the play. Brent Grimes with the tackle, and once again Flacco has to go to the sideline to get the call from Kubiak.
Yeah, that's old school.
And if one team has their sound system down, then the referees will tell the Miami Dolphins when they get the ball next, they've got to be on the same playing field. But here we're seeing the Ravens, and this Ravens team, 7 out of 7 times in the red zone last week, they scored the ball with the football.
However, 4 were field goals. Flacco, end zone, Smith, and he couldn't bring it in. Brent Grimes may have got a hand on that one.
It was well defended by Grimes. Steve Smith told us yesterday, we've seen Grimes before. They've matched up head-to-head before. Grimes is athletic and physical. Good matchup, but that's just a drop. Grimes is in pretty good position, but that's a catch Steve Smith needs to make. He's been plagued by drops of late. Had a couple last week and then here today.
I guarantee you he expected to make that catch.
3rd down and 6. And a timeout is called by the Ravens. Their first timeout of the half with 7:58 to go. Big 3rd down play coming up when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by T. Rowe Price. Understanding the connections of a complex global economy. Invest with confidence. PlayStation 4. Greatness awaits. And by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the game's most refreshing beer.
Beautiful day in South Florida, and a big play coming up here for the Ravens. Following the timeout, 3rd down and 7. They need to get to the 5-yard line for a first down. Pressure coming. Flacco tosses one up, end zone, intercepted. Picked off by R.J. Stanford. Just the 2nd interception of his career, and it comes in the end zone.
Yeah, Joe Flacco's mad at himself. He threw this on a back pedal. The pressure was coming. He threw it absolutely up for grabs, and Stanford comes down with it.
And Joe Flacco had gone 3 consecutive games without an interception. To have it in this way, he was under pressure. Miami came with the blitz. They had one-on-one coverage. Joe Flacco in that situation has got to be smarter with the football. That ball should have been thrown out of the back of the end zone, ensuring at least 3 points.
It's Flacco's first interception since November 2nd, that Sunday night game in Pittsburgh. So once again, the Ravens, even though they went 7 out of 7 in the red zone last week, we said 4 were field goals. And Torrey Smith said that was the difference in the game. I know we scored the football. However, with the field goals, it came back to bite us. Well, here it's a turnover as Flacco is picked off. Lamar Miller reversing field. Miller still going across the 30. What a run by Lamar Miller. Darian Stewart finally brings him down after a gain of 11.
Well, this is just Miller doing it all on his own. The Ravens do a great job at the point of attack, but at the end of it, you see Jernigan just overruns the play, and then guys start to pursue back, and they over pursue, and they kind of lose discipline. You gotta, when a play breaks down like that, you gotta remember to herd the guy to your teammates. Don't just try and do it all yourself.
43 yards rushing from Miller. He's looking for more here. Once again, changing course and tackled at the 34-yard line as we go down to Chris Fisher with an injury update.
Andrew, quarterback Anthony Levine for the Ravens exited the game in the first quarter. We have just found out from the Ravens staff that he's suffered a concussion and will not return.
Chris, thank you. Big loss for the Ravens. Levine has been the starting cornerback the last several weeks until this week with the return of Asa Jackson, but Levine still counted on big time in that secondary.
That's the last loss that they needed. They cannot afford to lose any more people in that secondary.
Miller again to the 35, and it will be third down.
We need to go back and revisit something I said a little bit earlier. Talked about the communication problem Baltimore was having. The rule is if from the press box to the coaches, the communication is out, the other team has to shut theirs down. But from the sidelines to the quarterback, if one team is having problems, the other team does not have to adjust. Our officiating expert, Mike Carey, refreshed me on that one.
Third down and 6 for the Dolphins. Tannehill wants to keep it himself, running left, has some room. First down, Ryan Tannehill. He averages 6.4 yards per carry. That's third among all quarterbacks.
And that was about 6.7 yards on that carry, just under 7 yards. And this is a design sweep. You can tell he just tucks it and goes. That's an absolutely critical part of their offense. It's not a huge part. They may run it 4 times deliberately with Tannehill, but if he gets 3 first downs like that, that's an enormous difference and a great boost to their offense.
It's a good call on the 6.7, but officially a 7-yard gain for Ryan Tannehill. He looks to pass here, and it's dropped by Damian Williams. So Gibson with a drop for the Dolphins, and now Williams drops a pass.
Now this is just a case of a guy getting a little too excited, started thinking about the move before he got the ball put away. You could see he was looking over that left shoulder. He knew that C.J. Mosley was bearing down on him.
Yeah, for a quarterback that's completing 70% of his passes, he's got to be a little particularly disgusted with the drops.
Williams, an undrafted rookie out of Oklahoma, one of the 3 drops for Miami in this first half.
Ready?
Play action. Tannehill wanted to take a deep shot. It wasn't there. Now on the run. Jernigan missed him. Tannehill fires. And a sliding catch by Mike Wallace.
We've got a penalty flag on the far side with illegal men down the field.
Yeah, there is a flag back close to the line of scrimmage at the 44-yard line. If it stands, it's a gain of 31.
Well, Ryan Tannehill, and that's the problem. You got a running quarterback. The offensive linemen think he's taken off.
An eligible player downfield on the pass. Offense number 51. 5-yard penalty will replay, second down.
That's on Mike Pouncey, the right guard.
You're 100% right, Steve. You're going to see Pouncey. He's in here. When they see Tannehill holding the ball that long, it's very hard for them to understand that he's not going to run with the football. It's pretty ticky-tack. I mean, there's one offensive lineman. It didn't look like to me like it was Pouncey. It looked to me like it was the left tackle, maybe Jawan James. It was 3 or 4 yards down the field, but that was not, I don't think, a significant penalty.
The first one today against the Dolphins wipes out the 31-yard completion to Mike Wallace. It's 2nd and 15, inside 5 minutes to go, first half. Pressure coming from Dumerville, and he strips the ball. The ball is out, and Deion Sims falls on it. Elvis Dumerville came around quickly, knocked it out of Tannehill's hands, but Miami recovers. A loss of 11.
Well, this is Dumerville's 13th and a half sack. You see him off the left side there, just runs right by right tackle Dallas Thomas, and he is a natural pass rusher who's got what a lot of shorter pass rushers like Dwight Freeney and Elvis Dumerville. There's a few others. They call it that natural leverage because they're already below that big offensive tackle. Yeah. What a great season he's having off the edge.
3rd down and 26. Miami 2 for 4 on 3rd downs. This is a short pass here. And it's caught by Rashard Matthews, but tackled well shy of a 1st down. And the Baltimore defense getting that big play by Dumervil, and the costly penalty forces Miami to punt.
Yeah, there's a sack, and then there's a sack strip, and that sack strip, that's an enormous difference. You put that ball on the ground, it gives your team a chance to turn the game around. When you're trailing like the Ravens are by 10, you can bet that Dumervil just raised the level of intensity for that defense. This is a defense that really knows their backs against the wall. And with Dumervil and Suggs, they've got to make some plays like that.
Second punt for Fields. Jones is back deep. A flag comes in. Jones makes the catch at the 5. Jacoby Jones runs out at the 22. Let's see what the penalty marker is all about.
Might have a coverage guy deliberately running out of bounds, or it could be holding.
A 57-yard punt for Fields.
It happened very early on the kick.
Miami sideline indicating it's against the Ravens.
During the kick, holding, return team number 37. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. 1st and 10, timeout on the field.
It's on Danny Gore. So the pick by Flacco does not come back to bite the Ravens. Miami not able to capitalize. Tomorrow on CBS, the wait is over. Mike and Molly are back. Don't miss the season premiere tomorrow after 2 Broke Girls here on CBS. So the penalty on the punt backs the Ravens all the way up to the 4-yard line. So they'll have to go a long ways. And I said before the break that the pick by Flacco didn't come back to bite the Ravens in the sense that Miami did not score. But of course, Ravens were set up great on that last drive, and Flacco's pass was intercepted in the end zone by R.J. Stanford. John Perry still trying to sort something out with the rest of the officiating crew, and he is now stopped play.
Yeah, they took the spot of the penalty from the point where Jones caught the punt, as opposed from the end of the run. Now they're going to move it back even further.
Ball's been placed half the distance to the 2.5. 1st and 10.
So Perry moves the ball to the 2.5-yard line with 3:08 to go. Baltimore has 2 timeouts remaining. Penalty was from where Jones caught the ball. Flacco in his own end zone, in trouble. He's going to run with it up the middle. Joe Flacco slides up to the 18-yard line, and he's got a 1st down for the Ravens, a gain of 15.
This is an aspect of Joe Flacco's game that does not get enough respect or attention. Opposing coaches know it. He's a very athletic big guy. You can see coverage up the field. He sees the middle wide open. It's like the Red Sea parting in front of him, and he is not afraid to tuck it and go. He's got good speed for a big man.
Longest run this season by the Baltimore quarterback. Keep it on the ground with Forsett, who's had a quiet 1st half. 6th carry for Forsett. And again, he did not practice Wednesday or Thursday because of a knee injury and was limited in practice on Friday. Officially listed as questionable. Did get the start today, but 6 carries for just 18 yards.
Yeah, Steve Berline, you and I were talking. It doesn't seem like they're relying on him like they do normally, even though he's leading the team with carries. There are some instances where you expect him to have the ball in his hands.
This is Taliaferro again across the 30, and a Baltimore 1st down all the way up to the 38-yard line. Philip Wheeler makes the tackle, and that takes us to the 2-minute warning. Ravens down by 10. .154 to go. Ravens have it 1st and 10. 3 plays on this drive, all 3 runs by 3 different rushers. Now Flacco to the air, fires off the hands of Steve Smith and incomplete.
Joe Flacco's got to make this throw. He makes this throw in his sleep. He had a good pocket. He was wide. He's still having to run over to the sideline to get the plays from Gary Kubiak, but that's wide open. There's nobody impacting his.
I've got his arm hit.
Flacco got his arm hit.
Yeah, his arm hit. The ball fluttered out. He got his elbow hit just as he released that ball.
Let's see if somebody got a hand on it.
Looked like
maybe it affected him
I'm thinking Wake got a piece of it. It looked like that ball fluttered out of his hand.
Flacco 0 for his last 3 with an interception. 2nd down and 10. 1 on the play clock, and did Flacco get it a timeout? Yes, he did. That's a timeout that John Harbaugh knows he might need later in this drive. They had to burn one here.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Walmart, where you'll find unbeatable prices on this year's top gifts. And by Kelley Blue Book. Find out what you should pay for your next new car at kbb.com.
Back in Miami and coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cower. All the latest NFL scores and highlights, as well as a preview of Thursday Night Football on NFL Network. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. So, because the play clock was winding down, Baltimore had to use a timeout. They only have 1 remaining with 1:50 to go in the first half.
Miami showing blitz. A lot of people up at the line of scrimmage.
Flacco steps up, fires, and that is caught by Aiken, who's got a first down at the 49-yard line. 17th catch this season for Kamar Aiken.
Good job standing in the pocket by Joe Flacco. Offensive line really stepping up and playing well on this play, giving Joe Flacco enough time to get that ball out of there for a nice conversion.
Clock still running, 1:20 to go. 1st and 10. Flacco, pump fakes, brings it back, now fires left, there's a flag down, the pass is caught by Aiken again, who runs out of bounds at the Miami 38-yard line, but the penalty flag on the far side of the field, close to the 40.
Holding, defense, number 21. Penalties decline, result of the play, first down.
So first down for Baltimore, penalty was on Brent Grimes, and an impressive drive here for the Ravens with 1:11 to go in the second quarter.
And the one common theme in the plays on this drive has been Joe Flacco and his ability to extend the plays and step up in the pocket. They've not only protected him, but when they haven't, he stepped up and extended the play. One, he ran for a first down and also extended the play on that one to get the first down.
Baltimore thinking touchdown, but keep in mind they have an excellent kicker in Justin Tucker. Flacco over the middle, caught by Marlon Brown, and he's very close to another Baltimore first down. Jelani Jenkins with the tackle.
Well, I like what Miami's trying to do. They're coming with pressure off Joe Flacco's backside, but Baltimore very prepared, able to handle it, and they have an answer for a nice pickup again.
It is a first down, a gain of 10. Flacco quickly to Aiken, makes the catch at the 20. It's a gain of 8 as Baltimore continues to move down the field. 40 seconds on the clock, and now it's stopped. Just to place the ball, now the clock running again. Baltimore just the 1 timeout as Tucker loosens on the sideline. Flacco over the middle, and it is caught by Daniels. What a juggling catch by the tight end.
That is an incredible catch by Owen Daniels. Rashad Jones had incredible coverage on him. Flacco just spikes the ball there.
Yeah, spikes it with 12 seconds left. John Harbaugh ran down the field telling his receivers, you got to get back to the line. I don't want to use my timeout there. So he spikes it. It's 2nd down.
Yeah, and this has been a masterful drive by Joe Flacco, using all his receivers and all his weapons, all totally by the pass, unless it was Joe Flacco running it here at the end as they get inside of 60 seconds. Gary Kubiak there urgently trying to get the message into the huddle. But this is where the veteran quarterback has made the difference.
Yeah, and you can still, saving that timeout, that still opens up the middle of the field if they don't get it into the end zone. So they've got their full arsenal available on this play.
10 straight quarters at home that Miami has not allowed a touchdown. Baltimore trying to change that. 2nd and goal. Flacco quickly, and it is caught by Aiken at the 2, and now Baltimore will have to use its final timeout with 8 seconds remaining. Kamar Aiken has been a big part of this drive for the Ravens, and now with 8 seconds left, can you run the ball or do you have to throw it?
Well,
Well, you can run it, but you got to get in, and I think that's the big thing. That Miami can't take it for granted that Joe Flacco will throw it. There's no timeout, and I think the smart thing is put it in Joe Flacco's hands, let him try and gun it into the end zone.
They will not run the ball here. There's no way, because of the fact that, number one, Miami's been pretty stout on their short yardage defense at this point, but there's no way they can do it. They've got to preserve at least 3 points. The only way to do that is to throw the ball here.
What you might want to do is roll Flacco out so he has an option. If he finds the opening, or if he thinks he can stick it in or extend it across, that would be the way you run it in. But as of now, I think you're right. You got to throw it.
It's 3rd and goal, and now a timeout by the Dolphins.
Yeah, the Dolphins saw that the Flacco was under center with Forsett in the backfield, and they're saying, wait a minute, maybe they will run it.
I think they want it also. That's a good deep. They got 3 timeouts. Why not let the Ravens break the huddle? Either force them to go to a different personnel group or different formation, or you can at least make the defensive adjustments for that formation they were lined up in.
Yeah, now they're bringing in Audric and Shelby as well into the game, bringing in a couple of defensive linemen.
Kamar Aiken has 4 catches on this drive. His career high in receptions is 4, so he's matched his career high on this drive for Baltimore, the second-year man out of Central Florida.
Yeah, as you said earlier, only 16 catches on the year coming into this game.
So Forsett is the running back on 3rd and goal. 3 receivers set. Flacco rolling right, gets rid of it to Steve Smith. Touchdown Ravens. Steve Smith Sr., his 6th touchdown of the season. And a clutch throw by Flacco with 2 seconds on the clock.
Well, this play goes all the way back to the Bill Walsh days with the San Francisco 49ers. It's called sprint right option. You'll see Joe Flacco rolling to his right, Steve Smith just straight out to the flat. It's a little bit of a rub that the Baltimore Ravens are using to try and get him open there in the flat, but it's all part of the route. It just works that way. You time it up, and it's a great conversion for the Baltimore Ravens.
What does a Notre Dame man know about a little bit of a rub down by the goal line? Well, how about the Ravens going 97 yards on that drive and scoring with 2 seconds remaining?
You just see they just forced the safety, or the corner, R.J. Stanford, to go over the top, which gave Steve Smith the room to catch that ball.
Tucker for the extra point, it's good. Flacco now 14 out of 19 for 132 yards. We've got a 3-point game. Start of the 3rd quarter in Miami. The Dolphins have a 10-7 lead on the Ravens. Let's take a look now at the Bose game changer, and right before the half, Steve Smith Sr. comes in motion. Joe Flacco rolls his way and finds Smith with just 2 seconds on the clock for Baltimore's only touchdown of that first half. Back in the booth with the Steves, Berline and Tasker. I'm Andrew Catalan. Close game, kind of what we expected. And if you're Baltimore, you got to be feeling pretty good. A sluggish first quarter, yet only down by 3.
Very sluggish first quarter. You're 100% right, Andrew. Baltimore considers themselves, I guarantee you, very lucky. First 3 drives were 3 and outs for them, while Miami was looking very efficient both sides of the ball. They had the red zone interception by Joe Flacco, which was a terrible decision that Miami did not capitalize on in terms of scoring, but it cost the Ravens at least 3 points. But the last drive of the first half, they got it going, had that 97-yard touchdown drive that really kept them in this ball game. They go in at halftime feeling pretty good about things.
Ryan Tannehill, 10 out of 14 in that first half for 88 yards. There were 3 drops by Miami receivers. How about the total yards in that second quarter? 171 for the Ravens, just 38 for the Dolphins. So Baltimore with a lot of momentum here to start the second half, although Miami will get the football because they deferred the opening coin toss. And it is a touchback. The Dolphins will start at the 20 as we go down to the field and check in with Chris Fisher.
Andrew, wind was a factor according to John Harbaugh. That's why you saw all your scoring going toward the north end zone in the first half. And he said those second quarter adjustments that he made, he plans to stick with those. They're going to have a lot more confidence coming out.
Yeah, Chris, it's a great point, something we discussed up here in the booth as well. At halftime, all the points were scored going the way Miami is going right now to start this third quarter. Ravens this year 1-4 when trailing at the half. They're down by 3. And we have a flag and a false start against the Dolphins.
Well, the Dolphins have been a very good third quarter team this year in the NFL. As they
False start, offense number 64. 10-yard penalty, first down.
You talk about what's going to happen in the second half.
Here's your adjustments, guys.
Yeah, for the Dolphins, they got to keep their balance. They ran the ball well, threw it well. They completed a high percentage of the passes. They've got to feel good about their balance.
And the Baltimore Ravens, you see it right there. They had 5 pre-snap penalties. They got to play smart. They were shooting themselves in the foot, had the red zone turnover as well. So if they play smart, they have a chance to get control of this game.
Tannehill feeling the heat. Escapes, chased by Williams. Now Dumerville gets to him, and Tannehill's able to throw it away. Good pressure by that Ravens front 7.
It's an issue that you've got to protect Tannehill. If he's going to complete his passes like he has these last 5 weeks at 70%, they've got to keep the rush off of him, because one of the things that happened in the first half, Tannehill was getting rid of the football on time. The Baltimore Ravens are going to adjust to that and start sitting on the short routes and dare the Dolphins to go deep, something the Ravens have been vulnerable to, but the Dolphins seem reluctant to try it.
2 sacks in the first half for the Baltimore defense. It's 2nd and 15. Tannehill, quick pass to Landry, trying to get him in space. There wasn't much space there. Landry gets to the 20-yard line. It'll be 3rd down. Well, Steve Tasker hit on this just a few moments ago, but Miami is an NFL best plus 79 in the third quarter. No team has scored more points in the third quarter than the Miami Dolphins.
Well, Steve Tasker was also right about something else, Andrew, and that was that the Dolphins, and he's been saying it all game, the Dolphins need to find a way to make some plays up the field. I don't think they've even challenged this secondary with the design deep throw yet today.
Miami 2 out of 5 on 3rd downs in the first half. It's 3rd and 9 here to start the third quarter. Tannehill fires, caught by Landry for a first down. Jarvis Landry leads the team in receptions. It's a gain of 13.
And that is an enormous conversion here early in the third quarter. Tannehill gets a lot of time by rolling out, and Jarvis Landry, and I think rightfully so, he was really upset.
He ran into Terrence Cody.
Yeah.
Over there, and then gave him a little forearm.
Was also working against Asa Jackson. They were tangled up at the top of that route. I'm surprised there was no penalty called.
Movement on the line, and a flag comes in, and another false start against the Dolphins. They're 2nd on this drive.
False start, offense number 80. 5-yard penalty, first down.
It's on the 2nd-year tight end, Deion Sims out of Michigan State.
That's just a lack of discipline. I don't know. You come out of halftime, you think you're kind of refurbished. You got a chance to make some adjustments. You're a good team on 3rd down. You come out, and the first 2 first downs you get in the second half, you're jumping off sides and putting you at 1st and 15. It's just lack of discipline.
Tannehill wide open is Landry. He's got it at the 40, and a good tackle there by Will Hill as a flag comes in at the 35-yard line. Will Hill had to make that tackle, otherwise Landry had a lot of room to run.
Ineligible player downfield, offense number 51. 5-yard penalty, will replay.
2nd time that Mike Pouncey has been called for being downfield, the right guard, and the 3rd penalty on this drive.
Yeah, and Mike Pouncey was not Mike Pouncey in the first half. I don't know who it was, but right here you're going to see if he's running downfield. I mean,
that's not a penalty. Yeah, he's at the 30-yard line. He's at the 30-yard line when Tannehill throws that football. I don't know. We have not seen that penalty all year, and today we've seen it twice.
It was called on Pouncey in the first half. You just didn't agree with the call.
Well, the furthest offensive lineman down the field was Jawan James, who was 3 yards down the field. Pouncey wasn't even that far down the field.
So it's 1st and 20. Tannehill in trouble, gets rid of it, a floater, and it's incomplete. Was trying to get it to Sims, but once again, pressure by the Ravens.
And Tannehill gets up a little gingerly. On that good pressure, it was a nice inside move by Pernell McPhee that collapsed that right side down. Looked like Tannehill might have got his legs rolled up a little bit.
These two teams played last year, and the Ravens sacked Tannehill 6 times. 2 sacks today, but there's been a lot of pressure, as you see right there. Quick pass to Wallace. Wallace to the 30. Tackle at the 32-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and long for the Dolphins. Danny Gore makes the tackle.
Back to that downfield situation. I mean, that right there again was another one of those quick screens. They seem to be emphasizing, or at least paying a lot of attention to that from the Miami Dolphins side of things.
We don't know anything, but it could be that John Harbaugh has alerted the officials. Say, listen, we're catching on film. They're getting down the field on their quick screens. That could be one issue, but even the second one they just called, I did not agree with at all.
It's 3rd and 11 for Miami. Tannehill over the middle to Williams, and he can't get past that tackle by C.J. Mosley. 6th in the NFL in tackles, tops among all rookies, and that's a big one right there.
Well, I'm not going to fault Tannehill for taking the check down in a 3rd and long situation. The Ravens are encouraging and enticing that short pass, but Billy Lazor and his offensive staff have done a masterful job with Ryan Tannehill this year, but they've got to find a way to stretch this defense and make some plays up the field.
So Baltimore forces a punt. Jones back deep. Good kick by Fields. But they're a little too good. Into the end zone for a touchback. A 60-yard punt, but a net of 40, and there is a flag down. Flag is on the near side of the field by the 43-yard line.
Just past the line of scrimmage.
It was 4th and 4.
Ineligible player downfield on the kick. Offense. Number 98. The 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the kick. Timeout on the field.
So another ineligible man downfield against the Dolphins. It's Baltimore football. Huge game in the AFC. Miami leads Baltimore 10-7. 11:32 to go in the 3rd quarter. Both teams at 7-5, right in the thick of that playoff chase with 4 games to go in the regular season. 1st down and 10. Dolphins only had 1 penalty in the 1st half. 4 penalties already in the 2nd half as Forsett gets close to the 30-yard line. Now, we talked about it during halftime, a slow start for the Ravens. 3 consecutive 3-and-outs to start the game. Then the interception in the end zone by Flacco, but they responded with that 12-play, 97-yard drive right before the half.
And because their defense started to pick it up in the 2nd quarter as well, they kept it close, and now it's a 3-point ball game. And Baltimore really must feel really good about its opportunity to come in and win, get this victory on the road.
Flacco chased by Delmas, and Flacco just throws it away.
Flacco's out of the tackle box.
Yeah, and the ball crossed the line of scrimmage. Usually the fans not familiar with the rule. They just see him throwing the ball away to avoid the sack, but that's designed to protect the quarterback, give him a way to get rid of the football. He's out of the pocket.
It was close, but that's you know, Joe Flacco, believe me, the quarterbacks are very familiar with the intricacies of that rule. He knew what he was doing. He knew he'd get away with it.
Exactly right. And the referee, it's a hypothetical box, tackle box from tackle to tackle. They make the judgment. Nothing you can do about it.
Ravens are 2 for 6 on 3rd downs today. 1 on the play clock, and Flacco has to call timeout. Same thing happened late in the 1st half, and he has to burn a timeout here early in the 2nd half.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Honda, where you can get great deals during Happy Honda Days. And by FedEx One Rate, simple flat rate shipping with the reliability of FedEx.
back in Miami, and a big third down here for the Ravens. They've converted 2 of their last 3 third downs. This is a 3rd and 7. Wade coming with pressure. Flacco gets rid of it to Brown, who makes the catch, but appears to be just short of a first down. That's going to be very close. Jimmy Wilson makes the tackle for the Dolphins, and this is going to come down to the spot, but initially it appears to be just short.
Yeah, you're right, Andrew. It looks like they have to get at least to the 35-yard line, and that ball looks a half-yard short.
Yeah, and it looked like Joe Flacco was going to try to go no huddle, but now John Harbaugh wants him to measure, and the officials are thinking it over. Obviously, the Ravens would love to go for it and convert this. They're asking for the measurement, but it appears at first glance that they're going to try this on a 4th down conversion.
I can't imagine John Harbaugh going, if they're short, I can't imagine at his own 35-yard line in a 3-point game rolling dice like that. To me, this is a 95%.
Joe Flacco's walking back on the field.
Yeah, they may try and draw him offside. I'd be surprised. Especially with they've been stopped twice on 3rd and short today already.
Well, they're keeping the offense on the field. Baltimore this season, 8 out of 14 converting 4th downs. That's 57%.
Well, it's one of those, what do? Are you the Dolphins and you think they're going to try and draw us off sides, so sit tight? And if you're the Ravens, if they think they're going to try and, if they think they know that, they can go. So we'll listen to the cadence and see if Joe Flacco just tries to draw them off sides, or if they're really actually going to run a play.
I would be very surprised if the Ravens run a play here.
They don't seem too much of a hurry to get out of the huddle.
Fourth and 1. Flacco keeps it himself, and he's got the first down. Gutsy call by John Harbaugh, and it pays off here early in the 3rd quarter, a gain of 2.
There's your 5% on the 95%, and I think the smart thing was he didn't take a long count. He just went. He didn't make him try and think about it. He just went. He had a great surge, a great quick snap count, and as well executed. But you're right, that is a courageous call by John Harbaugh.
We got a player down on the field.
It's Jared Odrick, the 5th-year defensive tackle out of Penn State. We'll step aside and come right back to Miami in a moment. Jared Odrick was able to walk off under his own power, now getting some treatment on the sideline. We'll keep an eye on that. It's a 1st and 10 for the Ravens. Flacco has now converted a 3rd and 1 and a 4th and 1. Looking to take a shot. Instead, underneath, and it's Daniels into Miami territory, and another Baltimore first down. A gain of 17.
Well, this is the type of play that scares opposing defensive coordinators. Flacco with the big arm outside, and Gary Kubiak loves to call these. They had Jacoby Jones doing a post corner to the backside. That's where Flacco wanted to go with the football, but he realized it wasn't there, knew exactly where Daniels was, and made a nice throw.
Taliaferro, the running back on first down. He gets the call, met at the line. Second effort to the 44-yard line. Well, you can vote now for the 2015 Pro Bowl. It's fantasy football for real. Select the best players at every position, regardless of conference, either online or on your mobile device at NFL.com/Pro Bowl ballots. As we've documented, a very slow first quarter for the Ravens, just 22 yards, but since then, all the momentum has been on Baltimore's side. Flacco fires to a wide open Jacoby Jones, spins, runs down the sideline, forced out at the 25-yard line. Jacoby Jones had a couple of catches last week. They're getting him more involved in the passing game. It's a gain of 18 right here.
Well, this all started, Miami came with the blitz. Watch Lorenzo Taliaferro, number 34, right there, picking up that blitz. That is what allowed Joe Flacco to step and make this throw. Jelani Jenkins had a clear run at Flacco. These running backs in the NFL have got to step up and meet that guy coming full speed. Great job by Taliaferro.
First catch today for Jacoby Jones. It's 1st and 10. Flacco is 10 out of his last 12. Taliaferro stumbles, gets back to his feet, and trying to push the pile forward, tackled close to the 20-yard line.
And this is the first drive by either team going from the left part of your screen to the right part of your screen. That direction of the field seems to be a more difficult way to move the football, and yet the Baltimore Ravens getting it done here in the third quarter. Great balance on their offense, and you said it. You see Flacco once in a while, he'll have the home run shot deep on the play action, but if it's not there, he's always got an outlet. Miami, we have yet to see them send a guy deep even for a look.
Flacco pump fakes, now throws it to Smith. He's in trouble. And Steve Smith is tackled for a loss, but there is a flag down on the near side of the field at the 15-yard line.
That's going to be lineman downfield again. Now that was because the timing was thrown off for Baltimore.
Loss of 7 on the play.
Ineligible player downfield. Offense number 53. Penalties declined. Result of the play. Third down.
Let's go down to Chris Fisher.
Andrew, when was the factor for all the scores being played out in the north end zone during the first half? You can feel the wind blow toward the north side of the end zone. If you look at the goalposts and the flags, that's the direction it blows. But at the top of the stadium, you see the wind crossing over, blowing to the southeast side of the stadium.
Chris, thank you. Big play here. Third down and 11. Flacco out of the gun. Has time. Over the middle to a wide open Brown. Jumps over a defender and he's got the first down. He leaped right over Delmas for a gain of 14.
What a great play call by Gary Kubiak to understand coverages and tendencies in the Dolphins. He had the perfect play called. Flacco through his progression finds Brown, and what an athletic finish to the play by Marlon Brown. Big third down pickup for Baltimore.
14 yards for number 14, and Baltimore on the red zone, running the 11th play of this drive. Play action, Flacco, end zone, touchdown, Kamar Aiken. His second touchdown of the season, and for the first time today, the Ravens have the lead.
Fantastic look and throw by Flacco. He had plenty of patience. They have protected him so well on this drive, and it shows through the play action pass, and he goes over the top, right down the middle of the formation, right over the top of Louis Delmas, who's following Aiken right across the field, and Aiken right at the back of the end zone. What a perfect throw. Great play design, great execution, great protection by the Ravens.
A new career high for Aiken. That's his 5th catch of the game. Came in with just 16 catches the entire season. Extra point by Tucker is good. And the Ravens now take a 14-10 lead. Flacco to Aiken, Baltimore on top.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Chase Freedom. Get your cash back and activate bonus cash back today. And by K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K.
So a big decision pays off for John Harbaugh. He went for it on 4th and 1 from his own territory. Flacco picked up the first down, drives him down the field, and for the first time today, Baltimore has the lead at 14-10 with 6:14 to go in the third quarter.
Well, Andrew, I said he was 95% not going to go for that, but that's why his players love John Harbaugh so much. He's got confidence in him. Let him do it.
Andrew's going to take this one out. Andrew at the 20. And he is dragged down at the 27-yard line. A little extracurricular after Landry goes down. Well, coming up next Sunday, the NFL on CBS features division showcases in the AFC East. The Dolphins and Patriots collide while the Steelers battle the Falcons, or the Broncos challenge the Chargers. Check your local listings. And of course, it all begins with JB, Tony, Bart, Coach, and Boomer on the NFL Today. How about Flacco? He's completed the ball to 8 different receivers, but Torrey Smith is still without a catch today.
Amazing. I mean, you've been talking about Kamar Aiken all day with the the career highs. Torrey Smith has not even had one ball thrown at him today.
Let's see if the Dolphins can respond after the Baltimore touchdown. 1st and 10 from the 29. Tannehill fires to Hartline, and he makes the catch. We go back to New York. JB and Coach Cowher.
Nip and tuck in Cincinnati.
Yeah, AFC North battle right here. You're going to see Ben Roethlisberger find Le'Veon Bell. 10-play, 80-yard drive as they take the lead over Cincinnati 17-14.
Back to Andrew Catalan.
Guys, thank you. As Lamar Miller is still going. Ravens could not bring him down, a gain of 10. Will Hill finally makes the stop, but you saw the standings there in the AFC North. The only division with all 4 teams at least 2 games above 500.
Oh, it's another nice run right up the gut of this Baltimore Ravens defense. Lamar Miller, really an impressive guy. When you see how much he's progressed, developed this year, this guy's going to be a very good running back for a lot of years to come.
Tannehill screen to Landry. Cuts back on Mosley. Well, doesn't get much further than that. Well, Jarvis Landry has made a huge impact for this Miami team this year. And I say team because he's getting it done on offense, leading the team in catches, and on special teams as well, 3rd in the NFL, averaging 29 yards per return. A little no huddle here for the Dolphins. Tannehill to a wide open Miller. Heads by Ingram. Wrestled down by Suggs in Baltimore territory at the 46-yard line, a gain of 7.
Yeah, now Miami taking a little bit of tempo here, went no huddle, and it turned into a nice conversion on 2nd down, brings them into a 3rd and more manageable after a thrown for a loss. Now they'll huddle up, and it'd be interesting to see what their thought was, why they're huddling up now, and why they went tempo just a moment ago. Perhaps they had a matchup up front that they liked.
3rd down and 3 for the Dolphins. Tannehill in trouble and he's sacked. Dumerville rips him down for the 2nd time today. Suggs also got back there for the Ravens, but this Baltimore defense comes up with a big play on 3rd down.
Yeah, they might split this sack. Just what the Dolphins were afraid of, bringing that pressure off the edge. You get those tackles on their heels. It's like roller skates when those rushers off the end, Suggs and Dumerville, get underneath them. Just a bull rush. They're so worried about the speed off the edge that sometimes Suggs and Dumerville can get up underneath them and just roll them straight back into the quarterback.
Joe Philbin told us their tackles were going to have to be on point this entire game with Dumerville and Suggs off the edge, but they felt if they could get those guys blocked, they'd be okay. On that play, they didn't get either one of them blocked.
So Fields is on to punt. And Darius Webb is back deep to Kobe Jones. Webb calls for a fair catch at the 6-yard line. 3:07 to go, 3rd quarter. Flacco and the Ravens up by 4. The Ravens will start this drive as Torrey Smith watches from the sideline, still without a catch today. Did injure his right knee last week. Helmet on, he's been playing, but Flacco is not connected with him just yet. Meanwhile, Flacco, 13 of his last 15, and one of those incompletions was a spike as Forsett is wrapped up by Derek Shelby. Well, you can get the fastest football scores and updates with the CBS Sports app. The fastest app for sports fans. Just download the CBS Sports app now. Very interesting with this Ravens offense. Forsett has not been a factor today. Torrey Smith doesn't have a catch. We spoke with Flacco yesterday, and he told us that he thinks talent-wise, this offense is more talented than the offense that won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and they're proving it today with guys like Aiken and Brown and Taliaferro stepping up. Flacco, dangerous, and off the deflection, nearly intercepted. That was almost picked twice. First by Grimes, and then the 2nd time, Delmas almost got it.
Very well played by, like you said, Brent Grimes made a break on that ball. He was jumping that thing from the get-go. Steve Smith told us that is what he will do. He'll take chances. That one almost paid off big time.
Grimes knocked it up in the air. Delmas had it in his hand there.
Yeah, Delmas could have made that catch.
Now he's walking off. Well, it's not Delmas. Yeah, it is.
Second on the team in tackles.
He has got to come off the field. He had to stay down. Something happened to him on that play that we'll have to see if we can see what happened. The ball ricochets, and here comes Delmas to try and catch it.
That
Might be his
arm pinned underneath him.
I don't know. Hard to say.
He slowly walks off the field. And Walt Aikens, the rookie safety, comes in to replace him.
Now this is a situation where if you've got a young quarterback, you're very, very careful with what you do, what you ask him to do here. But with Joe Flacco, you might just see them huck this ball 60 yards down the field, try and take a shot at a home run.
Flacco 4 out of 5 on third downs today. Miami defense looking for a big stand. It's 3rd and 10. Flacco in his own end zone, tripped up, and where are they going to spot him? Down at the 1. Nearly a safety for the Miami defense.
Well, this is going to set up a 4th down where the punter is going to be standing only 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. Miami blocks a lot of kicks, and this sets up perfectly. As you see Flacco in his end zone, and it just collapses on it.
Well, that was Olivier Vernon off the backside. And watch the spin move right there at the top of your screen. Wow.
Splits the double team.
Yeah, totally caught Flacco off guard. What a great individual effort by Vernon.
First sack today for the Miami defense comes on a big 3rd down play. And now Cook from his own end zone with 3 on the play clock. Low kick. Landry comes all the way up, drops it, picks it up at the 44, and he's tackled right there.
He's hurt. He's hurt.
Yeah, Landry a little slow to get up now. Another punt that was almost blocked by this Miami special teams unit. Jarvis Landry was slow to come off the field after that punt return, and they were working on him during that last time out. Here's another look at it.
He tries to spin out of this right there and then gets rolled up. And that's where the issue was.
So Landry, a big part of this offense, and does not have the helmet on right now as he watches his teammates break the huddle. 1st and 10 for the Dolphins at the 43-yard line. 1:24 to go, 3rd quarter. Miller, nothing doing. Great tackle by Chris Canty. A loss of 2 on the play. Well, let's go back to New York and our officiating expert, Mike Carey. And Mike, what did you see on that Miami sack close to the goal line?
Well, what I saw was that when Flacco's left elbow was down, the ball was still tucked underneath, right above his numbers, which was lined up pretty close to the end zone. It's not something that you could reverse and replay, but your instincts tell you that that should have been a safety.
Wow. All right, Mike, thank you very much. As Gibson makes that catch and spins away at the 40-yard line.
The question on that then becomes, though, do you waste a challenge on something like that where you really can't? Even Mike Carey says you can't really tell for sure where that ball was at the time he was down.
It's the conversation we had yesterday with John Harbaugh about having cameras on the goal line being mandatory equipment for every field, and he had some pretty strong opinions about having that be the case.
Well, Landry is back in for the Dolphins on this 3rd down and 5, possibly the final play of the 3rd quarter. Tannehill over the middle to Landry. 1st down and more. Landry feeling A-OK into the red zone as the 3rd quarter comes to an end. A gain of 20. That's the end of the 3rd quarter. We've got a good one in Miami. The Ravens lead 14-10. One of the biggest games on the schedule in Week 14, coming right down to the 4th quarter with the Ravens in front of the Dolphins, 14-10. Jelani Jenkins, the linebacker for the Dolphins, questionable to return with a foot injury. We'll see if he's able to come back out when Miami goes back on defense. But right now the Dolphins driving on offense after the big play to Landry on 3rd down. Tannehill, screen to Clay, the tight end, and he gets away from a tackle. Clay at the 10, Clay cuts it back, still going,
Yeah, the officials out at the 4-yard line, spotting him at the 4. It looked like he got in for a moment. And there's a Raven down at the 5-yard line just outside.
Chris Canty right here had the chance to make that tackle for about a 3-yard loss. It turns into a 14 or 15-yard gain on the play.
Play stepped out of bounds at the 4. That's a good call.
But Chris Canty had him wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage.
Danny Gorer is the injured Raven.
Well,
and he remains down on the field.
The Ravens have already lost Anthony Levine today with an injury. Now Danny Gorer. And
it's an area that we've chronicled is a very thin part of this Baltimore defense. They are not deep in the secondary. They've been looking for answers the last several weeks. And they've counted on guys like Levine and Gorer.
John Harbaugh going down there to check on him personally.
We'll come back to Miami in a moment.
You are watching the NFL on CBS.
Back in Miami, and Danny Gorer was just taken off the field on a cart. So not a good sign for the Ravens secondary, already losing Anthony Levine earlier to injury. Meanwhile, the Dolphins have it 1st and goal from the 5-yard line. Tannehill to Miller, stuffed. Darryl Smith coming across quickly. A loss of 2.
That was Chris Canty, number 99, blowing into the backfield. And you see right there, as well as C.J. Mosley, they just had a complete breakdown up front by the Miami Dolphins.
And now there's an injured Dolphin down at the line of scrimmage. And that is the center, Samson Satelli. And he's been playing with a rib injury of late. Had to come out for 5 plays on Monday night against the Jets. And this is one of the luxuries the Dolphins have. They have a Pro Bowl center in Mike Pouncey, who's been playing right guard, so he can just slide over to center. But certainly Satelli a big part of their line.
Well, one of the things they've also been doing is rotating Darren College and Shelley Smith at guard, so both those guys can play guard. And they've been doing it quite a bit. So Pouncey will move down to center. Darren College, Shelley Smith will take both guard spots as Satelli will come out for a play or 2 or however long that may be.
Dolphins made the move when Pouncey, who's inactive for the first 4 games with a hip injury, came back. They wanted to keep their best 5 linemen on the field, so they moved the center to right guard. So now an easy fix here with the injury to Satelli. 2nd and goal. Dolphins only have 6 rushing yards this half, with 57 in the first half. Movement on the line. Suggs comes across, and he was pointing, and he was right. It's going against the Dolphins.
Yeah, that's Shelley Smith, who just came in the game.
Start. Offense, number 66. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's tough. That is really tough to come in cold, but I mean, you're a pro. You need to come in with your discipline and your focus. Can't have that penalty. You can't cost your team like that right
there,
away.
That's it. I mean, it's just a flinch. His hand came off the ground, moved, and that's.
This is the Dolphins team now that 2 weeks ago against Denver was 5 for 5 in the red zone. You see the penalty differential. Quite the opposite in the first half.
Yeah, 5 of Miami's 6 penalties have come in the second half. 2nd and goal. Dumerville coming with pressure. Tannehill, end zone for Wallace, incomplete. And Wallace had an opening there.
Well, you know, I think this ball could have been thrown better. Ryan Tannehill has to make this throw a better throw than he did. But if I'm Mike Wallace, I got to sell out and try and make an effort at that ball.
Tannehill took another hit. It was Dumerville coming once again. What a big game for the 9th-year man out of Louisville. So now, because of the penalty, it's 3rd and goal from the 11-yard line. Miami 4 out of 9 on 3rd downs today. Three on the play clock. Tannehill in pressure, in trouble again, and C.J. Mosley brings him down. The Baltimore front 7, even without Haloti Ngata, has had a big day today here in Miami.
Well, you'll see him right in front of you. He comes in, he is unblocked, and Tannehill sees him, tries to climb in the pocket to get away from him to keep the play alive, but the interior push won't allow him to do it. That's a team sack that Mosley will get the credit for, coming unblocked, and there's just nowhere for Tannehill to step away, to extend the play, nothing he could do.
Fourth sack today by the Baltimore defense. It's a 34-yard field goal attempt for Caleb Sturgis. 1 out of 1 today, now making 2 out of 2, but a great job by that Baltimore defense to hold Miami to a field goal.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Amazon's new Fire HD. Powerful tablet, endless entertainment. Fruit of the Loom. Start happy this holiday. And by the Dodge Brothers. 100 years later, their spirit lives on.
Welcome back to Miami, week 14 of the NFL on CBS, and it is a good one, a 1-point game with 12:41 to go, fourth quarter. The Ravens lead 14-13. With the Steves, Berline, and Tasker, I'm Andrew Catalon. Chris Fisher down on the sideline, our entire CBS crew. Sturgis to kick it away, and Jacoby Jones back deep. Jones will let this one go. Baltimore will start at the 20-yard line. Such a critical game in the AFC playoff picture. These two are part of the crew at 7-5. 6 teams in the AFC are 7-5 right now. Miami in that number 6 spot. But a critical game. Justin Forsett did call today a playoff game here in Miami, and it's played out that way. A lot of great strategy that we've seen. Close game, back and forth. It kind of has that January feel, if you will.
Both teams understand the significance of this. If you're 8-5, you got a 60% chance of making the playoffs. 7-6, only about a 30% chance.
Flacco fires right, and that is caught by Aiken, who continues to have a career day. His 6th catch of the day. Number 11 goes for 11 yards.
You know, Joe Flacco was talking to us yesterday. You could see a little twinkle in his eye when he was talking about the receiving core. You talked about a little bit earlier, Andrew, about how he believes this offense is more talented than the one that won the Super Bowl. But he believes it starts with those wide receivers. He likes these young guys, the mix of strengths that these guys each bring to the table.
A nice homecoming for Aiken, native of Hollywood, Florida. Flacco back to the air to Steve Smith. Gets away from one. Smith still going, and he's got another Baltimore first down. So Steve Smith with a 15-yard gain. Coming up tonight, revolutionary cancer strategies. It's all tonight on 60 Minutes, only CBS. So Torrey Smith still without a catch, but Steve Smith has picked up the slack. He's got 6 catches for 52 yards and a touchdown. Forsett. He's had a tough day, and of course nursing the knee injury, but Justin Forsett with his 9th carry, and he's got just 23 yards.
Well, we spoke about this offense and Joe Flacco's confidence in it. He's doing it today without Torrey Smith. I mean, he's active for the game. He's standing on the sidelines, but he has not really been in the game since early in the first quarter, and I think that was by design. I think they knew he could go in a pinch, but they had a lot of faith in Marlon Brown and Kamar Aiken, and those guys have proven worthy of that faith today as Joe Flacco has found them.
Flacco to Forsett, and he is met immediately by Phillip Wheeler. A gain of 4. It brings up 3rd and short for the Ravens. Joe Flacco has done a tremendous job on 3rd downs this year, especially compared to last year, as you see Smith still on the sideline. Flacco's quarterback rating on 3rd down last year, 58. This year, 103.
And the Ravens are the 9th best team in the NFL on 3rd down because of his efficiency on 3rd down as well.
Let's see if he can deliver here. 3rd down and 5 from midfield. Flacco fires, and Smith makes another catch. Steve Smith only had 1 catch for 2 yards last week. That's his 7th grab of the day. It goes for 18.
Oh, this is the best illustration of Joe Flacco's arm strength that we've seen today. That ball was thrown on an absolute rope. The timing between he and Steve Smith was perfect. The location was perfect. The way that play works, Steve Tasker, you know it. That receiver has to sell that he's going deep and then turn and make that catch at the last second.
We spoke with Gary Kubiak on Wednesday, and he told us that he's got to get Steve Smith going. Mission accomplished so far today. Flacco play action. Throws over the middle of the field, caught by Supernaw. Philip Supernaw inside the 5. Just his 3rd catch in his career. And it goes for 29 yards.
Supernaw just signed off the practice squad today as he comes out across the formation, runs right by Koamisi, who looks to the front side. But Supernaw slips in behind Misi, being chased on the backside also by Wheeler, and Flacco just finds the deep crosser. Joe Flacco told us on those plays you got to get to the edge as a quarterback and then look to the deep crosser if you can find him, and certainly did exactly that on that play.
Flacco 5 out of 5 on this drive, and a flag comes in.
There is no foul in the play. There's a timeout on Miami.
So the Dolphins have called timeout. That's their first of this second half. Well, Thursday, Larry Fitzgerald and the first-place Cardinals take on the Rams as the playoff chase heats up. It's Thursday Night Football, Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, live on NFL Network. The Ravens promoted Philip Supernaw off the practice squad as a precaution because Crockett Gilmore, their backup tight end, had a back injury. He was listed as questionable today, was not able to go, so Supernaw active, and he comes up with a big play, 29 yards, the biggest play for either team today. Credit to Ozzie Newsome, the Ravens GM. He's had some great finds in his career, and Supernaw comes up with a huge play here in the 4th quarter. So Miami had to call the timeout, 8:58 to go, 4th quarter. Flacco is 18 for his last 21. It's Taliaferro, the rookie, running back, not Forsett. Here's Taliaferro trying to go up the middle, and he's not going to get there. A lot of people thought Taliaferro was in the doghouse after his Week 9 fumble at Pittsburgh. Only 3 carries since then, but he's been the feature back today with Forsett nursing that knee injury.
Well, make no mistake, he was in the doghouse. But when Forsett's nursing a knee injury, you don't have anybody else you really trust. You got to give him the ball back, and it's been long enough. This is a playoff run, and when you got a chance to be eliminated or almost eliminated, you got to give the ball to everybody.
Watch for a play action shot here on 2nd down.
Play action. Flacco loses the football. Ball is out, and Miami falls on it. Earl Mitchell recovers for the Dolphins. Second red zone turnover today by Joe Flacco.
Well, he definitely was trying to stop from throwing this football, but I think the ball, when he tries to gather it back, is the arm coming forward? That's going to be the tuck rule. We got to figure out, is he trying to throw that ball? Was it coming forward?
I don't know. I don't think that was an empty hand. I think he started to throw it. The ball comes out down low. I think this may be, it's going to be reviewed, no question, but I think it'll be reversed. I think this will be an incomplete pass.
I agree with you. That arm was coming forward, I believe.
All scoring plays subject to review. They'll take a look. We'll come back after this.
After reviewing the play, with control, the quarterback's arm started forward. It's an incomplete pass.
There you go. All turnovers subject to review. They take a look at this one, and they rule it an incomplete pass. Let's go back to New York. Our officiating expert, Mike Carey. And Mike, what did you see on this?
Yeah, here's a good use of replay, guys. As you can see, when Flacco's hand starts forward, he has firm control. You watch the ball closely, and it's steady in his hands. It comes forward, then it leaves. Ruling on the field is reversed to incomplete pass. Well done.
All right, Mike, thank you very much.
We all agree. I mean, that arm was definitely coming forward, had complete control of the ball. The intent was to throw it.
Meanwhile, it's now 3rd and goal for the Ravens. 4 out of 10 today on 3rd downs. Forsett in it, running back. He gets the call. Forsett, end zone, touchdown, Baltimore. What a swing in momentum. Miami thinking they had a turnover, and now Forsett takes it in for his 8th rushing touchdown of the year.
Well, they spread them out. They make it look like it's going to be an end around or a stretch play, and they give it right up the center of the field, right up between the hash marks, and it's wide open. Catch the Dolphins on an out charge on their defensive line, and it could not have been easier.
Forsett has not played much today. Potentially a decoy there on 3rd down, but they give him the ball, and he finds the end zone. So now here's Tucker for the extra point. And it's good. With 8:09 to go in the 4th quarter, it's still a 1-possession game. Baltimore leads by 8.
Exactly right. It's a 1-possession game. Joe Philbin's got to be extremely disappointed with the fact that that call was reversed, but it was the right call. His team now has to respond. If they want to be considered one of the elite, one of the playoff type teams, they've got to make a drive. And you and I, Steve Tass, have been talking about it all day. The best way to do that, we believe, is to challenge this defense up the field, as every other opponent they've played in the past 6 or 7 weeks has done.
And the Dolphins have not. We have not seen them throw the football more than 20 yards up the field a single time today. And, you know, you and I both, you watch their games on tape and you watch them on film, you watch broadcasts of the games and even coaches' film, and you don't get a sense of how absent that is from their game until you see it as the games ebb and flow. You never see them take an opportunity to put pressure on the defense deep.
Aerial coverage of today's game is provided by MetLife. Beautiful day in Miami, and we've got a ball game here with 8:09 to go. Miami about to get the ball back. Dolphins scored 10 points in the 1st quarter. They only have 3 points since. And there's a lot of questions about Ryan Tannehill and where he fits into the quarterback conversation among the league. And the one thing that a lot of critics want to see is how he steps up in the 4th quarter. Had a big drive last week against the Jets. He's going to need another big 4th quarter here today. And he's felt a lot of pressure today from this Ravens defense.
Yeah, this Ravens defense got to him. As we said, 6 sacks last year and plenty more hits. It's been more of the same today. They're not able to give him the time to step up in that pocket, get through his progressions and make the throws. And that's not why he's not getting the ball up the field at all. You still got to take some shots, but they have got to do a much better job of protecting him in general to give him a chance to be effective in this offense.
Coming in, he's been knocked down 70 times this year, 4th most in the NFL. 1st and 10, and it's a play action. Tannehill is winding up deep in trouble, and he goes down. Guess who? Elvis Dumervil again, leading the charge for the Ravens.
Well, once again, and we just spoke about it, it's the protection up front that doesn't allow him to step forward. As you see Dumervil working right there against Dallas Thomas, takes the chip block and still gets home. There's no way Tannehill can throw this football with Dumervil's hand on his chest there, clawing at the football. And there's nowhere to step otherwise up in the field because the interior push is there. So this offensive line of the Dolphins right now is getting a little bit manhandled.
6 sacks last year for the Baltimore defense against Tannehill, 5 today. Dumervil now has 2.5 sacks on the day. 2nd and 14. Tannehill fires over the middle, nearly intercepted. He was looking for Hartline, and Darryl Smith, who had an interception last week, nearly had another one.
Yeah, that was one that Darryl Smith would like to have back. You see him breaking perfectly on the ball.
Looked like
Hartline got a hand on it, maybe deflected it just a little bit, but very well read by Smith. I like Tannehill taking a shot there, taking a chance. The previous play was a play that they were trying to push a little bit up the field as well. He just didn't have the time.
Samson Citelli back in at center for the Dolphins. 3rd down and 14. Tannehill has some time over the middle, dumps it off to Miller, and he is stacked up by C.J. Mosley. The rookie out of Alabama continues to add to his resume for Defensive Rookie of the Year, and Miami will have to punt.
And you see Tannehill getting hit again here. The protection was pretty good on this play, but as he checks it down, that was borderline late by Timmy Jernigan, I think, on that one. That's what the Dolphins linemen were a little bit upset about. That was an unnecessary knockdown of Ryan Tannehill there.
Brandon Fields on to punt it away for Miami. Jones back deep. Jacoby Jones from the 21. Flag is down. It's going to be a block in the back. So this will back up the Ravens with 6:28 to go in the fourth quarter. Will Hill, the guilty party.
Return. Illegal block in the back. Return team number 43. 10-yard penalty. 1st and 10. Timeout on the field.
He said 43. It was 33. Will Hill. Baltimore's football when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Macy's. And by Subway Restaurants. Subway is saying thanks this season with $2 subs.
.6:28 to go, fourth quarter. The Ravens have an 8-point lead, just 79 yards rushing. Justin Forsett clearly bothered by that knee. And this is a point in the game where Baltimore wants to run the football, try to work the clock. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining. It's Forsett. And Messi and Wheeler throw him back. Keep in mind, last week, Baltimore had that 10-point lead, fourth quarter against the Chargers. They could not finish. Another opportunity here for the Ravens to try to finish in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the San Diego Chargers scored on their last 3 possessions, scored touchdowns to win that game. But right here is where you'd think that the Baltimore Ravens can impose their will. As John Harbaugh said, they felt they were just a better, more physical football team. And this is the kind of situation where you show that.
Injured Dolphin down on the field. Clock is stopped with 6:18 remaining, and it's Louis Delmas, who, remember, earlier in the half had to walk off for a play.
And he looks to be in some real discomfort there.
And they're calling for the cart.
Yeah, you rarely see guys move around that much, and that's holding the lower leg. And yeah, you know what?
No hesitation
yeah,
on that.
That's, I think the player knows something.
Delmas in his first year with the Dolphins after the last 5 in Detroit. A North Miami Beach, Florida native, and you see the look on Cameron Wake's face right there. Already saw Danny Gorer of the Ravens carted off earlier in this half, and now it's Delmas who needs the cart.
They're getting the inflatable cast out.
Delmas, a big part of this Miami defense, second on the team in tackles. And on the right side of your screen with the long hair, he plants, and that's it.
Wow.
Immediately grabbed for his right side. See some of the Miami offensive players, Landry and Miller, out there. Well, and Delmas went out before. It was a rookie safety, Walt Aikens, who came in to replace him. And it is very quiet here in Miami. Let's take another look. This time, watch the left side of your screen, Delmas.
You just, a lot of times that you can see the cause of an injury, but there are so many injuries in this sport when you're planting and cutting that something just gives out somewhere, and you know right away that it's significant and it's serious by what you felt.
So we put Delmas on the cart, and a nice hand from the fans here in Miami.
We sure don't want to hypothesizing what we think it is, but you know that it's something significant when it's getting this kind of attention.
Delmas had a pick 6 earlier this year against Blake Bortles and the Jaguars. And let's go back to New York and update with JB and Coach Cowher.
Pittsburgh is serious.
Yeah, 18 unanswered points. Ben Roethlisberger's 3 touchdowns. The last one, Martavis Bryant, 94 yards. They lead Cincinnati 35-21.
Pittsburgh wants into the postseason. Back to Andrew Catalan.
JB, thank you. And what a wild December it's going to be in the AFC North. Pittsburgh on top of Cincinnati. Baltimore leads here as Delmas is taken into the Miami locker room.
The Baltimore Ravens have not given up on winning this division. I can tell you that right now. The AFC North, if they go 3-1 with the schedule that Cincinnati has left, at Cleveland next week, then Denver at home, then at Pittsburgh, they couldn't have given a division lead up.
Second down and 8. And it's Jacoby Jones on the carry. How about the Ravens pulling that out with 5.5 minutes to go? Just the 3rd carry this season for Jacoby Jones. It goes for 11.
Well, it's a perfectly timed call, and Jacoby Jones is the perfect guy to run it because he's used to coming around the edge and kick returns. Great with the ball in his hands in open space. Got the ball in the wrong hands and actually gets it knocked out. But that's the kind of play you need to come up with. You don't want to really risk too much. You want to run as much time as you can. The only thing that could have been better than that is Jones would have stayed in bounds.
Gary Kubiak knows Jacoby Jones very well, too, from their time at Houston together. So he knows the strengths of Jacoby Jones, where he likes to get that ball.
Clock continues to tick. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining. They snap it with 1 on the play clock, and 4 set. Running right side gets a couple. Well, tomorrow on CBS, fast cars, a star basketball player, military school cadets, and a serial killer all have something in common. Find out what on a mysterious new episode of NCIS Los Angeles. That's tomorrow, 10/9 Central, only CBS. They actually say Forsett did not get any on that carry, so no gain on the play. 2nd and 10, 4.5 minutes to go.
Well, Miami has to find a way to force a punt on this drive. You know what Baltimore's going to do.
Forsett has some room this time. Forsett, first down and more into Miami territory, down the sideline, and Forsett finally tackled by Jones. He's had a quiet day, but Justin Forsett just made a lot of noise for the Ravens. A gain of 44.
Well, after 2 weeks where we talked about the Dolphins giving up some big plays in the running game, they had played much better today until this point when Forsett finds a gap and the Dolphins leave a gap in their coverage without a run fit there. Forsett finds it, and that is a crusher for the Dolphin defense.
When the Dolphins needed it most, they give up the biggest play.
Longest play today by either team. 1st and 10, Bernard Pierce with his first carry of the day. And now Miami has called timeout. They have only 1 remaining with 4:07 on the clock.
And then you sit there, if you're Joe Philbin, you look across and you see the Ravens with Justin Tucker on their sideline. This is a chip shot for him at 42 yards.
Well, the run defense has been a huge problem for Miami the last 2 weeks, giving up 201 to the Broncos. C.J. Anderson had a big day. And then last week against the Jets, they had 277 on the ground. First time since 1990 that the Dolphins have allowed back-to-back games of 200 rushing yards. They did a good job today until right here, big spot, 4th quarter. Ravens have gone for 136 rushing yards after that 44-yard run by Forsett. Pierce again with the carry. He's got some room. Pierce, 5, tripped up, and he is in for the touchdown. Bernard Pierce did not have a carry the entire game, but he carries the ball in the last 2 plays and takes it in for his 3rd rushing touchdown.
I think he got in, but we were talking prior to the, we'll see where that ball was when his knee hit the ground. Yeah, he is just short, That ball he places inside the 1-yard line, but we talked about this Ravens team needing to impose their will, and they sure have done that on this drive. Really running the ball well.
Well, the Baltimore Ravens are a veteran team. They've been to the playoffs. They've won the Super Bowl in the last 2 years. They've got a lot of players on their team who know how to finish, and you get into spots like this. And John Harbaugh has been this way, and his teams have played this way ever since he took over after being a special teams coach, being elevated to head coach. John Harbaugh has had teams that when the chips are down, they get ultra aggressive. And when you're playing in a tight game like this one, that is the mentality that always carries the day. Some teams look to maybe to make a play, maybe to get a turnover. The Ravens have always been a team that have turned up the physicality at the big moments. And you look back to their Super Bowl win in New Orleans against the 49ers on the last play of the game. Their defense, a lot of people said, oh my gosh, there were 6 penalties on that because they were so physical at that moment. That's the way they play in every big moment, and it usually turns out to their advantage.
All scoring plays subject to review, so they're taking another look at this one. And here's John Perry.
After reviewing the play, with the knee down, the ball was just inside the 1-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal on the right hash. Game clock will remain as is, and the clock will start on the ready for play.
So you take the points off the board, ball down at the 1. Well, we said the Ravens needed to come up with a big drive running the football. This is an 80-yard drive they've had so far, all on the ground. Forsett and Pierce, the big plays, and now trying to punch it in again. And actually, this reversal kind of works in the Ravens' favor a little bit because more time comes off the clock.
Well, you think with they're already there, they were in field goal range, even though they're going to put points on if they don't turn it over here. It's still going to be a 2-possession game after this is all said and done.
It's Pierce again at running back. Flacco will keep it himself, and he's in for the touchdown. 2nd rushing touchdown this season for Joe Flacco. Had one last week against the Chargers, and a big one here against the Dolphins with 3:34 to go.
What a disappointing finish to this ball game here for the Miami Dolphins. It's not over yet, of course, but to have this thing slip away like it has, in the fashion that it has, Baltimore just imposing their will here in the second half, it's got to be gut-wrenching for Joe Philbin and his troops.
You go back to the 3rd quarter. John Harbaugh had 4th and 1 in his own territory. Rolled the dice, went for it, scored on that drive. Baltimore kept the momentum throughout this second half. And Tucker's extra point makes it 28-13 with 3:34 remaining.
You know, on a day 2 when Miami started out on such a good note, 3 3-and-outs by the Baltimore offense. At the end of the day, it was Miami's offensive line, I thought, that was overmatched. Ryan Tannehill did not get rid of the football as quickly after the 1st quarter as he had before that. And their offensive line allowed so much pressure that Tannehill was forever stepping away from the pressure or stepping into the pressure or getting sacked, hurried, or knocked down. And I think that was the difference in the passing game. You and I talked, Steve Berline, about the lack of deep shots that the Miami Dolphins took. One reason might have been their lack of protection.
Well, the Ravens got it done on that last drive on the ground. All started with the big play by Forsett.
Yeah, and this is the Baltimore Ravens team that has had more 20-plus rushes than any team in the NFL coming into the game. It was Justin Forsett first, then it was Taliaferro. We thought initially he might have been in, but turned out the ball was spotted just inside the 1-yard line. Excuse me, it was Bernard Pierce, not Taliaferro. But then the touchdown by Joe Flacco to finish it off. As you said, Andrew, 0 passing yards on that last drive. That is absolutely music to John Harbaugh's ears.
Ravens had 22 yards in the first quarter, 402 since, and they've outscored Miami 28-3. Landry out of his own end zone. Tripped up at the 16-yard line. Well, coming up on the Subway postgame show, join JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, all coming up on the Subway postgame show. Flacco has 4 runs today, every one for a touchdown or a first down.
Well, here's the situation for Ryan Tannehill now. As a quarterback in this position, all you're trying to do is get your team to believe if we get down and score quickly, we're going to have a chance to win this ball game.
Miami with just 1 timeout remaining. Tannehill, wide open is Clay. And all the way up to the 44-yard line. We go back to New York. JB and Coach Cower.
Well, Pittsburgh means business.
Yeah, they took over the game with Le'Veon Bell, his second touchdown of the day. This one from 22 yards out. Le'Veon Bell, 185 yards rushing, over 200 yards of total offense. Pittsburgh in control, 42-21.
No doubt about that. Andrew Catalan.
JB, another sack for the Baltimore defense, and it's Doomerville again. He's got 3.5 sacks, and with that one, he has now set a Ravens single-season record, passing Peter Boulware, who had 15 in 2001.
That puts him at 16. You're right, Andrew. And it's just been, it has been, as Steve Tasker, you mentioned earlier, just a mismatch on the outside. The speed and leverage of Doomerville and Suggs off the edge has been just too much for Jawan James and Dallas Thomas especially. Doomerville has absolutely owned Dallas Thomas off that right side of the Miami Dolphins offense.
Miami called timeout. They had to use their final timeout with 2:56 to go. It was a loss of 7 on the play, so Miami, no timeouts remaining. This Baltimore defense always has playmakers. Again, no Haloti Ngata for the rest of the regular season. They haven't really skipped a beat without him today. Pressure again. Tannehill gets rid of it, and Thomas wasn't looking for it. Pernell McPhee was the one getting after Tannehill this time.
Yeah, McPhee, a guy coming into the game with 4 sacks, just standing up, comes right off the left guard and just splits the double team. Tannehill stepping away from it, has to get rid of it again on just a 4-man rush. And of course, the Dolphins in a pass-only situation, and that's all the Ravens need to hear up front.
Thomas goes in motion on 3rd and 17. Landry open over the middle, short, and he gets to midfield. 4-down territory here for the Dolphins with no timeouts.
That's exactly what John Harbaugh and his defensive coordinator, Dean Pease, are going to give the Dolphins all the way down the field. They'll give them those 5 to 6 yard passes over the middle, keep the clock running, force Miami to chew up as much time as they possibly can.
4th down and 4. Tannehill looking deep, incomplete. Gibson the intended target, and this Baltimore defense does one heck of a job today against Ryan Tannehill and the Dolphins.
Yeah, what can you say? We got the impression when we sat down with the Baltimore Ravens yesterday, they were a very confident team. They came in sluggish to this game, very slow start, both sides of the ball, but in true Baltimore Raven form, this is a team that's been to the postseason more than anybody else in the Harbaugh era. They've been there pretty much every year, and they're a team that knows how to play in these must-win type of situations.
So Miami cannot stop the clock outside of the 2-minute warning. Ravens at midfield, and they'll give it to Pierce. And Pierce, look at this. This kind of just sums up the 4th quarter for the Dolphins as Baltimore has run all over them in this final frame. And that will take us to the 2-minute warning. Pierce goes for 27. The Baltimore Ravens on the verge of going to 8-5 on the season. Well, of all the 7-5 teams to start the day, the Ravens had the easiest schedule the rest of the way. Take a look. Home for Jacksonville, at Houston, which just beat Jacksonville a few moments ago, and then they finish at home against Cleveland. But Baltimore in a great spot here in their final 3 games, now at 8-5. All Flacco has to do is take a knee. Miami cannot stop the clock. As you see, Miami's remaining games, tough one next week at Foxborough. And they finish with 2 at home against Minnesota and the Jets.
And 7-6 is not a death sentence. It's not. Let's not even begin to give that impression whatsoever. There's still a 30% chance, if you look at history, that they'll find their way into the playoffs. Joe Philbin knows this was a tough loss. Now they just got to go up to New England and find a way to win that game next week.
Well, the problem is now that you've lost and gone to 7-6, now you've got to start looking at the scoreboard and hoping some other teams stumble down the stretch and you don't. And that's an enormous difference, holding the fate in your own hands and relying on other teams to lose or win.
Here's a look at the updated playoff picture. San Diego plays later tonight against New England, but Baltimore now in that number 6 spot at an 8-5 record with 3 games to go.
And Miami will go into that game next week, though they did beat the New England Patriots week 1. That was here, and it was before the Patriots got hot. But this is a game that Joe Philbin knows his team has to have.
You're right. That's when they thought Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were finished.
Exactly right.
After 2 weeks of the season, and ultimately we found out that probably wasn't the case.
No, not the case.
Joe Flacco improves to 5-0 in his career against Miami, and that's a huge win for John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens only had 76 yards rushing in the first 3 quarters. They had 107 in the 4th quarter, finishing the day with 183. Final score, Baltimore 28 and Miami 13. For Steve Tasker, Steve Berline, and Chris Fisher, this is Andrew Catalan saying so long from Miami. You have been watching the NFL on CBS. Coming up, it's the Subway postgame show. We'll take it to New York for all the scores and highlights. All coming up right after this. The Ravens win 28-13.